painting in oil paint. The canvas is a cotton canvas, 16-20 inch, but I have it on horizontal. So the face is going to be a little bit bigger because we're going to go for more of a realistic look with this one. The colors on my palette I have now listed for you. And yes, there's going to be some background noise. If the background noise bothers you, please mute the audio. But anyway, I have the colors listed. I may paint for a little while, and then if the sound is too much, I will leave early and try this again later. But anyway, I got some headphones for this. Feel free to silence the audio if you have to. I may have to change my streaming schedule to the evenings because they're just not finishing whatever they're doing in this apartment. So anyway, I'm mixing up a kind of yellowish orangey color. Hey John. Kind of a yellowish orangey color. This is going to be a way for me to place the model's face. So let's say, I don't know, I want the chin to go about, let's say, right here. So suppose the chin can land over there. This is my rough estimate. Let's put the chin over here. It's my rough estimate for everything. Hope everyone had a good weekend. This is gonna be potentially a new series. The one that I was doing before, it just didn't work, and it was fun to do. But I'm gonna start doing those paintings off camera, and maybe spend like a week on each painting or something like that, and just stick with faces for YouTube for now. It's really the only thing that keeps this channel surviving is faces. But anyway, I've got kind of a mask for the face over here. Like I said, if I deem the audio to be too bad, I'll just delete this stream and use the footage to make a pre-recorded. That's what I'll probably do if that's the case. Mark L. Didn't say first like. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Alright, so placement. Top of the head. Over here. So this is going to be much bigger than real life. You can tell the size of my hand relative to this face. Okay, so there's the bottom. I'm going to focus on drawing more with this one. We'll talk about likeness. I did say in the title we're going to make this realistic. So let's do that. Hey Christopher, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, I may just shut this off and go to the pool hall if the sound is, because it bothers me like really bad. Like I have to wear headphones, shooting headphones just to be in here. It's really that bad. It's that obnoxious. Don't ever move to Landmark Towers in Alexandria, Virginia. Alright, so anyway, the outside shape of the face is going to be quite important. I know I don't talk too much about likeness, or I haven't spoken about it in my other videos, but this is going to be more of a free lesson. Patreon will have longer, more involved stuff, but for the free for the freebies, we are going to simply paint. By the way, Patreon has a pre-recorded video playlist from beginner to advanced. That's what I meant by that. But I'm not going to make anyone pay for anything extra for this video. Hey, Michael. I think they're digging for gold. Yeah, it could be, Mark. It could be. Okay, here's a big tip, everybody. If you are trying to paint, if your intent is to paint realistic, try painting bigger. Try painting bigger. And I probably will see if I do make a successful video out of this. I will probably paint the face out and reuse the canvas tomorrow or whenever I stream again. All right, so drawing. Let's do some stuff for the drawing. Oh yeah, luckily this apartment doesn't smell. I think you're talking about the Dahmer. No, thankfully no, it doesn't smell. Alright, so here's some important stuff now. I'm gonna look at the angles of each of these shapes relative to one another, and this is pretty close to flat. And now I'm thinking of the space between the top and the eyebrow, and this is a little low, so I'm going to move it up here. You follow me? So this is an extra thing that I'm doing for drawing purposes. If you are diligent with your light and shadow, the rest of the stuff involved in let's just call it super realism, is quite easy. It's just tedious as I can't even begin to tell you how tedious it is, but it can be done. You can do this. I know that everyone can paint this type of painting. Yeah, no, thank goodness it doesn't smell like there's a Dahmer upstairs. Okay, so now we have this shape here. Next, I'm going to just simply block the eye sockets. Think about it like, well, right now it looks like an eye patch, but think about it as just a regular old pair of sunglasses. And I'm intentionally adding dark in this shape, and you'll see why later on. Okay, so now down here. Okay, so measuring wise, again, I'm just using just my eye, but we'll check things after we place this down. Like, for example, where does the edge of the nose exist relative to this corner? They're pretty close. They're not touching, but they're pretty close. So say to about there. Now, where does the bottom of the nose exist relative to the top of the head? So again, the top of the head is 1/3. So from here to here is typically 1/3, and this model follows it pretty closely. So you see these should be somewhat equidistant. And I'm not really measuring it on the picture, though you can if you want to. Yeah, closed captioning will be available after the video unless I delete the video, depending on how bad the sound is. Alright, edge of the mouth. It's gonna fit somewhere about there. And I didn't stream on Friday because the sound was just even worse than this. And on top of that, there was a Wi-Fi outage. So I didn't have internet anyway. Gotta love this city. I hate this place. Don't move to Alexandria, Virginia if you can avoid it. Alright, so the bottom of the nose relative to the mouth. Let's check the angles for everything now. So I'm using just like a dark red. You can simply create it with black cadmium red. Hey, Libertas. Alright, so let's check these points. Eyebrows. So black and red. Black and cadmium red. All the colors on my palette are available in the description box. I did manage to create the links, so you should be able to purchase them if you want the same colors I have. Once again, let's go back into those colors for everyone that's just tuning in. We have lead white number 2, titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, Indian yellow, burnt sienna, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, sap green, cadmium green, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, and ivory black. Make sure to use a big palette. A big palette is better because you're able to mix more carefully rather than being cramped for space. Try not to have a palette on the side like you've seen me and a lot of other people do in the past, because it wears out your shoulder if you paint many hours in the day. If not, if you're just painting 1 hour a week or something like that, then you can have a palette on the side if you want to. Oh, thanks, Gigi. Here's the next thing I'm going to look for. So the silhouette, the outside shape of the face, like I said, a lot of careful drawing is going to be a thing when it comes to likeness. It's really as simple as how accurate is your drawing. And it is unrealistic to try to do everything at once, unless you're trying to do some kind of demo video like I am here. Give yourself all the time you need. Okay, so that is over here. Now obviously she's got her hand on her chin over here, but I'm going to ignore that. Okay, so now we have that shape there. Next we are going to move towards the eyes. The furthest corner out is right there. Also look at the space from the eyebrow to the eye. It's a very specific space, especially if you're trying to paint realism. Next, where's the furthest point out over here? Probably exists around there. The reference is taken from a copyright-free resource. It's either Unsplash or it's Pixabay. I kind of don't remember which one it is. But please don't concern yourself with that. The best thing to do with a video like this is to follow along with the painting, not the reference. Okay, so again, this is that very important angle with the eye. Again, that's going to land somewhere about there. And if you can place these shapes correctly, it will become somewhat similar to the model's appearance. Light and shadow. Okay, so now I have the corner of the tear duct, and this is a very specific shape relative to the corner of the nose, and they meet almost perfectly. The distance between the eyes is roughly the length of one of the eyes, even when that model is turned. They're actually quite close, even in 3/4. Okay, so that is decent placement for the face. There's a lot of back and forth-ish stuff that will happen. Not everything's going to land in the right spot right away. So again, if the sound continues to be a problem in the next couple days, I will change my stream schedule to the evenings, preferably when Lucy's asleep. Okay, corner of the mouth, bottom of the nose. These shapes are now starting to become more exact. Focus yourself on light and shadow. Oh no, it's not just look, I know that everyone can lower the volume. It's just, as a creator, I know that it's not good. It's not ideal to put out content out there that people are gonna have to mute. It's not ideal, and it was all right for the first couple. I hate to say it, but it's been a couple weeks now. It's been all right for the first couple weeks, but over time it is hurting my content to the point where I may just have to stream late or not stream at all, and just pre-record and voice over. I have already filmed some pre-recorded stuff. And I appreciate everyone with the patience to mute the audio whenever you have to, but it just at a certain point is just not good for a content creator to have to tell their viewers you gotta mute the audio. Alright, so now we're going to go for some simple values, and if you follow me carefully here, you will be able to paint incredibly realistic portraits relatively easily. Try to paint bigger. So again, look at this face relative to the size of my hand. Now we're going to go in for these darks. The tone of the canvas is quite important. Make sure to cover this with oil paint before you start, so that we paint wet onto wet. important values that we're putting in. And with oil paint, it's easier to paint light onto dark. So we're going to add a lot of dark here with the intent of painting light on top of it. The noise is offensive, yeah. It's offensive. Like I said, I'm gonna keep doing that series of paintings we're on like number 20, but I'm probably gonna just do them off camera. It just on YouTube, they just did not do well. I know what you all want is these faces. You're gonna get these faces, even on Instagram. It's sad that this super realistic stuff, once we get to the super realistic stuff, is what people will follow or to like on Instagram and stuff. But gotta do what you gotta do. Kind of like that episode of Futurama when Fry first meets Leela. You gotta do what you gotta do. Now we're filling in this dark plane. And adding a touch of red while we do that. Don't cheap out on your red. Buy a proper cadmium. Cadmium red light is the red that I like. Cadmium red deep is a little too blue. Cadmium red medium from Gamblin is kind of a perfect red, though I'm not using it, therefore I didn't link it in the description box. The work is on the roof. I'm on the 14th floor, and yeah, it's on the roof, which is crazy because there's one floor above me. I feel sorry for them. They must be hearing it worse. Yep, don't move to Landmark Towers in Alexandria. Don't move to Alexandria if you want to have an art life other than taking expensive classes. Now we gotta put our foot down on that dark. Now you see how important, well, I guess not yet, but you will see how important these stages are. Paint with artist grade colors. I swapped out my cheap colors for the real ones. I had some Artist Loft blue. I took it out. It was fine for the style of painting that I was showing you before, but it's not gonna work as well with this. And let me tell you something, like super realistic paintings, trust me, they're not that impressive. They're not that like huge of a deal in the artist world, but it is a huge deal with following. These things just take more time. That's all. There's nothing difficult about this. Nothing at all. It just takes more time. It's tedious. Now you see the dark starting to become a thing. Drawing wise, this is supposed to be straighter, and this is supposed to not curve as much. And proportion-wise, you can measure quite easily if you know what to measure. If you need to measure position of the tear duct relative to the edge of the nose is 1. The distance between the eyes is another. The distance that the nose has in relation to the eyes, again, another one. The eyes are basically the headquarters of the face. Right? They must be making a landing pad. Hey, Shabu. Alright, now we're going to add a dark red for the cheekbone area. And we're going to paint into this later. Again, we're going to leave that red, and we will paint into that later. Though that red may be offensive, it may be offensive. Do not concern yourself with the way it looks. It is easier to paint light over dark. So I can make these shapes too pink at first. It's fine. You can do this too. And don't worry about what people are going to say, that she has something wrong with her cheeks or something like that. In fact, I am doing this on purpose because I know someone's going to click or say something because they're going to say, what did he do? He messed up the cheekbones. Believe me, part of it's on purpose. Part of it is on purpose. Hey, Hiffman. I think that's in French, I don't know. Maybe someone can translate for us. Dark for the lip. And again, I am totally messing with you by leaving that red, that red for that long. Because I can easily just go back in with the same color that I had before and do this. Detach yourself from the fact that you're painting a face. Totally detach yourself from that. See how easy that is to just blend that out? And still, we're going to work our way up to the dark. Detach yourself from this. Portrait can be one of the easiest things in the world for you to paint. There's far more complicated things than just a face. But if you follow proper light and shadow and know that with oil paint, painting light into dark is kind of what oil paint lends itself towards, then you will have a much easier time with the realistic faces. The question is going to be, where are you going to put those realistic faces? What compositions are you going to choose? That's what we were doing in the previous series. But that didn't do well on YouTube, so that's going to be off camera. Though I am very thankful for all the viewers that were sticking through that series. We did 20-something paintings in that series. And it's not over. I'll just do it off camera. Not over by any means. Okay, now this is going to get a specific plane. Again, painting the dark plane first because it's going to be easier to add light over top of this. Okie dokie. Same thing is going to happen over here, following the major planes of the face. Oh no, I agree, John. I do love a painterly painting the most, but it just doesn't do well for me. It doesn't. When it comes to YouTube following, it just doesn't. It doesn't. But anyway, enough of the nagging. Let's go in with the darks down here. And we're going to make a portrait so realistic, we are going to make it better than the photograph. We are going to paint much better than the photograph, and I'm going to show you how to paint better than a photograph. Stay tuned. I'll show you how to paint better than an AI. Now, to do this, we are limiting ourselves to just a face. But at home, you can use these techniques for anything you want. It doesn't just have to be a face. Now, dark for the eyes. We'll even get to the eyelashes, the makeup, the foundation, whatever it is. Using straight black, letting it mix with what's already there. Look at the angle of this shape in relation to the eyebrow. There's a very specific angle. It's okay to overdarken things right now. I'm going to continue to repeat it. It's much easier with oil paint to paint light over top of dark. Whether the paint is wet or dry. So if you over darken, which in some schools they call over modeling, it's all good. Now this is something kind of similar. This is a skill that's similar to firing a gun, playing pool, or throwing darts. Anything that requires hand-eye coordination. Keep yourself at an arm's length away, but don't underestimate the fact that you have to pay attention to the placement of these simple things. 1, 2, 3. Eyes, nose, mouth. Place them correctly relative to the face. Have proper light and shadow, and you've got a likeness. It's that simple, everybody. Simple to say, but difficult to execute. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, really. My neighbor was furious. We're both kind of angry today. I was on the way to the grocery store. My neighbor walked out and we were both just like complaining about the sounds to the main office as we were walking by. It's not their fault. I mean, it's not like they're intenting their intent. There we go. I got paint on my laptop. It's not like their intent is to torture us. Maybe it is, but got paint on my laptop. That's not good. sap green. It's gonna go over here. And this will be the last thing we do with this. And now we'll start adding the light. And we'll go back and forth till the painting's finished. Okay, so now we're going to switch to the light. Actually, no, I missed a spot. Cadmium green. The work starts at 8 a.m. Yep, starts at 8 a.m. I would know because it's always 8 a.m. And I put my headphones on and I'm blasting some whatchamacallit, some 90s hip hop. Of course, with the door closed away from Hugo. But I'm just, they know I'm here. They know somebody works from home downstairs. I have some pre-recorded videos already. So, I'm ready to not stream if that's the case. And I'll have some pre-recordeds for y'all. Which frankly, I think might end up doing better. Okay, light time. I'm going to use a generous amount of lead white number 2. Lead white number 2, the one I have linked in the description box for you is, I believe it's a Michael Harding. It says Creminence white. Creminence white or lead white, they're the same thing. Flake white is the same darn thing. But I'm using a generous amount. No, I'm not a morning person, that's for sure. If anything, I'm more of an evening person. Alright, so I'm using red, cadmium red light, and cadmium green with a generous amount of lead white number 2. You need, if you have access to lead white, you're going to want to use it for super realism with portraiture. I know that you're responsible enough to handle lead paint and not eat it. So as long as you don't eat the paint, you'll be fine. The lead's not going to jump out of the tube and harm you. You go through more danger just driving to the grocery store. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, something like that. Now we're adding these lights. So lead white has this ability to help you control the value range. You can use more of it without raising the value too much, which gives you a lot of control in the subtleties. Yeah, Mark L. This one I'll definitely turn into a time lapse. And I have another one that I did, super realistic, that I'm going to turn into a time lapse. For sure. And you guys, the painting is in its infancy at this stage. We're going to load all kinds of details. You know I hate the word detail, but I gotta use it anyway. All kinds of form. Now have a light touch when you're doing something like that. And you see, I could have darkened that a little more. And looking at the reference, this is darker even still. Or it comes out to the left a little more. I did say a lot of back and forth. This approach can be done with water mixable oil paints as well. It cannot be done with anything fast drying like acrylic or watercolor, but we've got some videos on what to do with those materials. Oh yeah, little things can, especially in portraiture, right, can make a huge difference. And because the hand is blocking this part of the face, I'm going to have to make it up. Now you know that I can paint a hand if I need to, but I'm not going to with this. Again, we're pushing this dark. And we're going to switch to the titanium soon. But we have caked these lights with lead white. So now we'll be able to paint titanium white into it without much issues. Yeah, I understand. If you live somewhere where you can't buy lead white, Gambling, I should probably put it in the description. Gamblin's flake white replacement is the closest that I've used to the real thing. Alright, so now switching to the titanium white. Switching gears to the titanium white, we're going to make this a little less yellow. Titanium white is kind of a bluish color. Now we're pushing the lights in certain areas where they need to be pushed. Now we're pushing it further than the reference. Now you see how strong the titanium white is. Added a little bit of cadmium red to that. Painting wet into wet. We can now adjust this value. Woo! That's why you need the that's why you need the lead white. So that was gonna raise the value way too much. There we go. And you don't need to have lead white. It's not necessary. It just makes life a little easier. Life is already tough as it is. So if we have the materials, the proper materials, it's a little less difficult. Like I said, you can still use Gamblin Flake White replacement. You may have to add a touch of yellow ochre to that to make it emulate lead white a little more. Perhaps you might have to do that, but it'll be fine. This is a touch of pink on the corner of the lower eyelid, and we're going to use that pink later to blend in more values for the lower eyelid. We're going to have eyelashes, we're going to have all kinds of nuance that makes things look realistic. Well, Rembrandt reincarnated. Oh, thanks, William. I appreciate that. All of a sudden, I feel a lot better today, despite all that noise that's been going on in the background. Alizarin crimson is a vital color for portraiture. It is essential, and unfortunately, with the water mixable, that's one of the colors that's lacking the most in Cobra. Cobra Talons is my favorite for the water mixable. Now, Alizarin Crimson, we're going to sneak some of it in to the sap green. Alizarin Crimson and sap green are really good colors to mix for shadows. Oh yeah, I am lucky no kids running and jumping upstairs. But sometimes there's some house music playing, which I don't disagree with. I mean, I can get down to some house music or some chill step or whatever. Now we're going to blend this out, and this is going to be so easy. Look at this. So easy. Blending the dark shapes to create the curvature of the eye socket area. So easy to add those curves. Now before too long, I'm going to use cerulean blue. Mix it into my other colors. Sorry you can't see the palette, but I needed to fill most of this face. I mean, most of this canvas with the face. We're gonna paint realism so real, it's gonna be better than a photograph. We'll get there, don't worry. Now we're gonna overdo that at first. Soon I'm gonna have to use a mall stick. cerulean blue. I like cerulean blue because it is a very thick blue. It's a pricey color, but you get what you pay for. This is very procedural, step by step. This is a no-nonsense portrait. Very repeatable. This is a technique that you can do at home. A little bit of phthalo blue. The noise canceller make you used to what? What happened? Oh yeah, no, my microphone does not connect to my computer. It's something I've been trying to set up for a while. Just like my second camera that I tried to have on the palette randomly stopped working in one of the streams. Will make the brushstrokes more sensitive. Okay, that's good. Alright, so now we're putting in some middle values for the sclera, the white of the eye. Yep, like that. Eyelash. And I think on the image of this model, I think those are her real eyelashes. They don't look to be like super glued on there or drawn in with a Sharpie. So I think those are real eyelashes. Alright, now subtlety over here. And just like a sculpture, this is going to curve. Okay, so here's tip number 1, how to paint better than a photograph. Think about the spatial distances from one thing to another, or the angles between shapes, rather than what value is that on the reference. If you're trying to match the value on the reference, your painting will look flat, just like the photograph looks flat. It's not the price of the microphone, it's my computer. It doesn't work with the computer. So I know that my microphone is not broken. It just isn't working on my computer. It's a MacBook Pro, I don't know what year. Now, push this dark yet again. Some back and forth-ish stuff that I said I would do. Just like that. Pushed it too far. Oh, this is too low. That was too low. Always have something for the neck, even if it's just a little brush stroke. Cover that. Okay. So again, back and forth-ish stuff now. Back and forth-ish stuff. forehead's still too light. And maybe the construction workers have taken a break, I don't know. But I guess I can take my headphones off. These are just shooting headphones. Kind of hurts my head to wear them for a long time though. Push that plane a little bit more red. This is giving us the form for the glabella. Hey, Grace. Okay, so now we can get this curvature. Tip number 2 about how to paint better than a photograph. Think about the anatomy of the planes that you're painting and not just replicating the photograph. Eventually it will be kind of pixel per pixel. For lack of better words, I have to use photographic terms. We will be painting somewhat like pixels. Now we are in subtleties. So not too bad for 1 hour. Nearly 1 hour of painting. Mixing cadmium red with a little bit of black and yellow ochre. And of course a skin tone color. Now we are going to polish this shape or make it a little bit smooth. And then we are going to start to add very minute plane changes to it. And again, that hand is distracting a lot of stuff here. So I'm gonna have to make things up or just paint the hand in there. Sap green. So now we have to polish these shapes, get them ready for subtleties. This is why a bigger portrait is better for this. I have more control with a size 4 brush. So now this has been polished up a little bit. And we want it to be smooth, kind of like stone. And then we add all kinds of nuances to it. But in order to add extreme subtlety, we have to reduce noise. Literally, reduce noise. Oh, I make myself laugh. Smooth polish. This is the part that is going to get real tedious real fast. This polishing stuff. Now you see we're quieting down some of those brush strokes that were kind of all over the place in the beginning. Have multiple brushes out, light, middle, and dark. the next tip on how to paint better than a photograph is to do as many master studies as you can from your favorite artists. Like someone mentioned before, Rembrandt. Rembrandt is probably my number one old master. Nelson Shanks, though, is my favorite painter. Alright, so we're at 1 hour 7 minutes. So that means it is time to take a break. For those of you that may be new to this stream, I play a video during the break. And the breaks are usually about 7 minutes long. So, alright, so that is alright for 1 hour. I'm gonna go ahead and take a break. When we return, we'll switch into smaller brushes and zoom you in and start to get into all those little details. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another break time quick 5 to 7 minute oil painting. This is just a gessoed piece of wood. It was gessoed with acrylic gesso, and now I have added a thin coat of raw umber and black using a mixture of safflower oil and spike lavender. Now we are going to use the alla prima technique to paint a 5 to 7 minute eye. We're going to start off with white. This is going to create a sphere for us. And this is going to be the eye socket area right here. And down here is going to be the corner of the eye. This is the edge of the eye socket, and now we have the entire shape for the eye socket. The tear duct will be about here. Next thing we will do is go and get the dark brush. This is going to be just black and raw umber right here. So this is going to be our tear duct. Black and raw umber. This is going to be the end of the eye, and this is going to be the iris. Very simple iris shape there. And now we're going to put in the bottom plane of the upper eyelid, lower eyelid, and the top of the lower eyelid. Very simple, iconic looking eyeball shape. Next, we are gonna go in with the light back towards the top of the eye, and this will give us the eyebrow right above. Nice and easy. So there's a quick little eyebrow. The tear duct is going to pick up some light, and this creates the tear bag area. And you want to work with a decent amount of paint so that you can apply different value changes, as you're seeing there, just by modifying how much pressure you put on the brush. So this is the tear duct here. See how it gets lighter? Less pressure will make this less light. And now we're going to have a little bit of light picking up on the top plane of the upper eyelid as it starts to curve around the back side of the eye there. We'll also pick up a little bit of light on the upper eyelid, and we'll also pick up a little bit of light on the top of the eye socket, which is going to create a nice gradation here. And these are just cheap pieces of wood that were gessoed with Liquitex acrylic gesso. They're cheap pieces of wood that are perfect for doing oil painting sketches such as this one. And less pressure is going to make this less bright as we work all the way towards the back side of the eye, finishing the first pass for this eye. Next thing we are going to do is add more light to the top, giving us close to our brightest light. And you can paint this in 5 to 7 minutes at home for practice. Simple practice. Now a little bit of light for the sclera. Remember, the sclera, the white of the eye, is not white, but rather some type of middle value. Now this painting is of course going to be in monochrome, meaning we're not going to add any values. But if you want to add, color, it's going to be in monochrome, which means we're not adding any color. But if you want to add color, you certainly can. But you see how much you can do without any need of color. And see how you can create this little gradation here with just white, black, and umber. And now we're going to add our darkest dark, which is going to be raw umber with a little bit of black for the pupil right there. And depending on the model, there may be some darker eyelashes, so we can add those eyelashes. The dark for the eyelashes here. And it all depends on the model. And we can adjust the eyebrows with the same brush, wet into wet. Depending on if the model has thick eyebrows, soft eyebrows, it's up to you. You can create whatever eyebrows you want. And what I want you to do is, if you can help me out and do this 5 to 7 minute study on Instagram, post it with a hashtag yuparitheartist. And this is the final light. Like I said, that's going to be the brightest light. And that is your 5 to 7 minute simple alla prima wet on wet eye. I hope you enjoyed this break time painting video. Alrighty then. Now we are going to switch gears to the small shapes. So I'm going to have to use a mole stick, which what I use for a mole stick is just a selfie stick with a cloth on top of the part that's supposed to hold your phone. So now let's focus on the eyes. You don't really need the reference for this, I don't think. You will notice that it's not going to be so much about what we see as opposed to what we know is there. We're going to complete the curvature of this lower eyelid. And just like that, this annoying sound is back. So I may have to put my headphones on again. But like I said, if it gets to be too bad, I'll just make a pre-recorded out of this. So, alright, put the headphones on. No worries, Gigi. I'm glad you were able to join. Now, this is going to be the really boring stuff for anyone that's not interested in painting like this. So feel free to fast forward it if you're watching it after the fact. Or go ahead, grab a cup of coffee or something. Or a cup of tea, whatever you prefer. This is a Silverbrush, and we are adding all these little planes . Like I said, it's not that it's more difficult, it's just tedious to do this. This is the part that I said was going to be kind of 1 pixel at a time. Also, something that I should mention is keep your back straight as much as you can. Stand if you can. I would prefer to stand. I don't know why I'm sitting. Oh, that's right, for the camera angle. But, yeah, be careful with your back when you're painting like this. No, this is just some copyright-free reference. I hope that I don't get in trouble with it. Like I said, there was issues with copyright-free references that I used before, but I guess sometimes you just gotta take a risk. Yep. Eventually I'll connect those shapes. But right now we're in the subtleties for the eyes. Like Supergirl from the that's funny. I haven't seen that show. The canvas is 16 by 20. So the face is much larger than a standard human head. You can see the face compared to my hand. Yeah, I think I will end up painting that hand in there, because it might be too much stuff that I'm making up. But then again, it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, and I could cover it with the hair. Or I can just take a big brush and wipe that out. Which I was planning on doing if this got realistic enough. Because those kind of videos are entertaining to the general public, I think. Because I will probably reuse the canvas anyway if I do another face like this tomorrow. Hey Maitha, welcome, welcome. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Maitha. Thank you, thank you. Oh, and is that a Shiba? I think I see a Shiba sticker there. Thank you, thank you. Really appreciate the super chat. Let's get back to the side plane of the face. Goya? Is that, you mean Francisco de Goya? more alizarin and sap green. Thanks, Grace. Yeah, I've taken quite a departure from this realism thing. Although we were almost there with the realism. It's still something that takes a lot longer. I have to switch brushes. Well, thanks, Gigi, for the Venmo. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the support, everyone. Thank you so much, Gigi. So some more back and forth-ish stuff. As we continue to push the form. Oh yeah, I don't think it's hazardous to my hearing. I've checked the decibels to be below 55. But I am worried about Hugo. I feel like I may have to just take him, just go with him somewhere. Because if it's not hazardous for me, of course it might be hazardous for Hugo. So, poor guy has to deal with that stuff all day. Of course, Lucy comes home like nothing happens, and there's no sound. As if I didn't have a bad day. She comes back, and she has her own bad day. And poor Hugo, he can't even talk. Yeah, so if this is still going on tomorrow, I won't stream at 1:30. I may just do a pre-recorded, or I'll live stream in the evening when Lucy's asleep. We're talking about like 11 p.m. or something like that. That's true, Gigi. Yeah, I'm just worried about Hugo. You said you're a night owl. That's good. Yeah, I'm more of a evening person than I am a morning person myself. Notice how little attention has been paid to the lips. The lips are something that tend to always have to move just a little, almost always. Hey Michael, welcome, welcome. The clump of hair on the bottom right's being offensive. Like hair on the painting? I wonder where it is. Oh, on the real. I think you meant on the real person. Yeah, that is kind of offensive. Yeah. Yeah, I have shooting headphones. Um, it's supposed to reduce by 30 decibels. So yeah, I'm wearing the headphones people wear to go to the gun range. Oh yeah, we can remove a whole mouse. Though we don't want to, if we can avoid it. If it can be avoided. Hey, Michael. Oh, it's your first time here. Welcome, welcome. Yes, this is oil paint. Oil paint. And the colors, I will go over them in just a second. Okay, so the colors are on my palette from right to left on the picture is lead white number 2, titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, Indian yellow, burnt sienna, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, sap green, cadmium green, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, and ivory black. And the palette that I'm using is quite large. It's not a huge palette, but it is large enough. So yep, this is all oil paint. Alright, so now some drawing stuff for the nose. No, they're basically a mix between Winsor Newton and Gamblin. The lead white, which again it's unnecessary, you don't need to use lead, but the lead that I have linked is I think it's a Michael Harding. The one that I'm using is Rublev. But again, you don't have to use lead. You can get something like Gamblin Flake White Replacement. Yeah, Winsor Newton is real good. Like I said, a lot of the colors I have are Winsor Newtons. It's almost always the case that once you put something, anything, in the background, it makes the skin colors look different. So I'm just throwing in a bluish color. That was phthalo blue and black. I'm not going to stick with the color on the picture, at least I don't think. Though maybe I should. Now for a painting like this, the background doesn't really need to be anything other than just a little rectangle of color next to the face. This is a canvas I'll probably reuse in the future, so I don't care about the look of the background. This may be somewhat of a greenish color, similar to the photo, but not exactly like the photo. Though we've added all these little forms, remember that the light and the shadow is the most important. So now that we're in the 2 hour mark, you can see a big difference between the forms now. At least a big difference in the form, is what I'm trying to say. Finally, I think the noise stopped. Take the headphones off. Man, those things hurt your head. You wear them too long. I guess they're supposed to be tight on your ears. Hey, Jonas. Well, thanks, Michael. This is a cheap artist's loft brush. It looks kind of like the makeup brushes that's used. It's kind of almost doing the same exact purpose, but to blend away unnecessary brush strokes. A tip for brushes like this is to dry clean it. Just clean it with paper towel, or in this case, a glove. Don't put anything wet on it. It will lose its ability to do this. And because it is a cheap brush, the bristles do fall out. So like kind of annoying, but it still works. Now this is a critical step in the painting. It looks like I'm not doing anything and I'm not adding any extra paint, but this is now kind of like blending away all the brush strokes that are unnecessary. This can only be done when the painting is wet. And if done right, this is what will give it that kind of super realistic touch. where I'm at with the colors. You mean with the blending of them, or you mean a palette? Either way, I'm glad that this is fun. Trying to make, trying to do all of this stuff in one sitting is not easy to do. It's tedious. Oh yeah, when I'm blending it out. Yeah. I'm creating form with a lot of like chops, like this is like a little chop. And then what I can't soften with this brush, I will use that blender brush. Yep, absolutely. Another tip is a canvas that has a little bit more texture is actually ideal. You don't want too much texture, but you want enough texture, because if it's too smooth, you're better off working with glazes or wet into dry. So the texture of the canvas does help a little bit here. So those of you that have seen, anyone that's seen my older videos, those pre-recordeds, I used to do one on Saturdays every week. That's kind of how my YouTube channel started. You might remember at the end of those videos, this is kind of what I did. I just softened things. So that's why I haven't taken a break at the second hour, because I'm not going to need a third hour with this. You airbrush. Oh. Is it kind of airbrush-ish? A little bit. Airbrushy. Let's zoom you in again so you can see all the little details now. And if everything is done correctly, minus those little hairs that you see there, it's done correctly, then this will hopefully start to have volume. picking up the hairs that are falling out. And I feel like something here is competing. Although I kind of like this little drippy look. You see that a lot in paintings. I'd say, yeah, some of the hair is not there. We're going to switch to a bigger brush. And I recorded another painting that uses a glaze, oil paint glaze, over top of an acrylic underpainting. So that will also be a future upload. So 2.5 hours is a good time frame for these. And I won't be putting too much for the background. Just a simple shape will do. This is a 1620, so it's kind of a large canvas. Remember that bigger faces are easier to paint detail in than smaller ones. I may end up reusing this canvas. I kind of contemplated painting the face out at the end of the stream, but I don't know. Might be too much of a stunt. Either way, the painting will be painted out. The face will be painted out, so I can reuse the canvas. I'm using safflower oil and Gamsol. Safflower oil and Gamsol. Or should I say, I have used safflower oil and Gamsol to tone. That's why you see all these little streaks here. It helped with the process, so the brush wouldn't be so scratchy, even though, as you can hear, still a little scratchy. Oh no, I'm just gonna reuse the canvas. This is something I used to do a lot back in the day. Because I mean, I don't really have any purpose to keep a big face, a 1620 face like this. I guess I'll save everyone the pain of seeing it getting wiped out. Of course, I'm gonna have to photograph it before it goes to painting heaven. I'm gonna have to photograph it. Have a good night, Mark. Those streaks were starting to bother me a little bit. No, she's not. This is not part of the series. This is another YouTube face, painting of a face to, I mean, mainly just for YouTube. The series, because it was doing so poorly, I'm gonna just have to do off camera. I'll create a time lapse of this painting and maybe some like shorter versions of it, because it's rendered enough, I think, now where I can do something with it. Yeah, the series, it was not holding a candle to the portraits. It was doing real bad. It's kind of funny to see a huge face. I mean, this is a huge face, like, compared to my hand. Gotta be careful not to beat the devil out of the brush. Scratching the canvas like that is not ideal for the brush. Thanks, GG. Yeah, so just dressing the painting up, basically. Getting it ready for the thumbnail. Of course, I'm making this neck up because it's not there. It's hidden. Yeah, time is just, it's a difficult thing for me. Just because it's just difficult. But I mean, it's not gonna disappear. I'll do some work off camera, or I guess a lot of it. And we'll have some occasional streams where we'll do that. It's just, I don't know. It feels like this is the kind of stuff that will work for Insta and all those things. Or maybe it won't. I don't know. Trying to do the best I can in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And we're just right on the 2.5 hours, so might as well call it. So I did the best I could in that time frame. And I'll probably do a little bit more planning for the other paintings. This is more of an exercise, like the 30-minute portraits. This is the 2.5 hour portrait. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that series the most. We can always do, life is about balance, right? So, I'm glad you enjoyed this, Michael. Life is about balance. We could have some days that are going to be this kind of realistic face, and then maybe I'll pre-record or use the footage for a pre-recorded, and then we can do some more of the other ones. You know, I will admit to you, or I guess admit to all of you, that the stress from painting with that noise in the background affected my work, especially my more difficult stuff, like that series of paintings. This is not stressful. This is, to me, is just kind of like pancake mix, I guess. It's just very procedural. I just have more experience with it, so I don't have to think as much, not as much problem solving with this. Though I do always want to improve. There's always room for improvement. So maybe I did some kind of error today that I'll notice later on. Yep, have a good one, Michael. Oh, thanks, Michael. That's funny. I don't even remember that one. Lost one. Did so many paintings. Like I said, I'm not gonna disappear like I've done in the past. I'm gonna keep at it. And like I said, I did this one because I knew the aesthetic of it might be something people would want. Although this is kind of glaring. This shouldn't be that light. It's glaring a little bit. I don't know if I can adjust the canvas so it's not glaring too much. I really appreciate you, Gigi, and everybody that's been watching the streams. That series was definitely a lot of fun, but none of them broke 1,000 with the in a month. So, you know, as a creator, none of the videos breaking 1,000 views in a month, usually a sign that something's not working. So it's kind of difficult, but we'll stay here, don't worry. Like I said, now I have the footage at least, so I can turn this into something okie dokie. So that should be should be everything. 2 hours, 34 minutes. It is the most I could do form-wise in that time period. Is there more I can do with this? Yes, I think there is more I can do with this. And like I said, nothing is set in stone. It's not like I want to cancel the other series. It's just needed to try something that I felt would have a bigger reach, I guess. Oh, thanks, Grace. Thank you, thank you. That's true, that's true. So yes, there's more blending stuff that I can do. I can make certain things sharper, others softer. In general, the value range I can push even further. So, all that said, there's always room for more. And this is how I clean this blending brush, by the way, with the paper towel. Just dry paper towel. Because we want that to be soft. It's a mix. GG, it's a mix. I think the average, I guess, is about an hour. For my older pre-recordeds, those did better. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. We'll just keep at it. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna continue. I'm glad you liked the portrait, Jonas. Okay, so once again, to summarize this painting, the most important thing I'm gonna tell you is if you want to paint more realistic, try painting a little bit bigger, a face that's bigger. See, in comparison to my hand, that is a big face. To paint better than the photograph, always remember that the form should be reminiscent of a sculpture and not so much just copying the pixels from the reference. Yes, the drawing is not perfect with this. I could have moved the mouth up a little bit more. This whole transition could have gotten a little bit darker. So I could have done those things to make it more photographic. So these are things that could be my own shortcomings with this, but still you can follow along with this video and do the same kind of thing. You can just spend more time with the drawing than I did. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate all the likes, all the comments, and the super chat as well, and the Venmo. So thank you all so much for your support. I wish you the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.